She's telling you without saying a word. Have you ever felt that something was off, but you couldn't quite explain why? You trusted her smile. You trusted her words. But deep down, something inside you whispered, "Pay attention." Her actions didn't scream. They whispered. And if you weren't tuned in, you missed it. In today's world, understanding these subtle signals isn't about being paranoid, it's about being prepared. Because the uncomfortable truth is this: women rarely announce their past. They rarely reveal everything with words. They show it through tiny, almost invisible signs. Signs hidden in how they move, how they react, how they let you close or keep you just far enough away. And if you ignore these signs, you don't just risk heartbreak. You risk wasting months, even years, on someone who never intended to build something real with you. Today, we're going to reveal 11 secret signs she may have had multiple partners, and why you must notice them. Not to shame her, not to shame yourself, but so that you can see clearly and choose powerfully from a place of calm strength. Because the man who sees clearly is the man who cannot be broken. Stay sharp, stay steady. Let's dive in. Why seeing these signs matters. In relationships, ignorance isn't bliss, it's blindness. Most men get hurt not because the signs weren't there, but because they chose not to see them. They convince themselves that love will fix it or time will change her. But a Stoic man knows, hope is not a strategy. Understanding these signs gives you an advantage most men never have: the ability to step back, assess reality, and make decisions from strength, not desperation. It prevents you from investing your time, your heart, and your energy into someone who was never truly building a future with you. It's not about suspicion, it's about awareness. It's not about fear, it's about wisdom. Because when you can see clearly, you don't just avoid pain, you move toward power. And that's what separates a man who reacts from a man who rules his life. Part 1. She guards her phone like a vault. Privacy is healthy. We all need a little space. But there's a sharp difference between healthy privacy and suspicious secrecy. If she never leaves her phone unattended, if she flips it face down every time you sit near her, or if she tenses up the moment you glance in its direction, it's not just about privacy, it's about hiding something. You might notice she takes her phone everywhere, even to the bathroom. Or she rushes to silence a notification the second it buzzes. Maybe she locks it with complex passwords and acts unusually defensive if you ask a simple question. Now, not every woman guarding her phone is hiding something serious. Maybe she's private by nature. Maybe she values her independence. But when secrecy becomes a pattern, when it feels more like a fortress than a boundary, it's worth noting. A Stoic man doesn't jump to conclusions. He doesn't accuse, interrogate, or chase answers. Instead, he watches. He collects patterns, and when the moment feels right, he addresses it calmly, directly, and without fear. The truth always reveals itself to the man who waits with patience and strength. Part 2. You feel left out of her life. When a woman genuinely values you, she naturally wants to integrate you into her world. She shares her plans, her passions, her people. You become woven into the fabric of her everyday life, not just a weekend guest star. But if you start noticing that she makes major plans without mentioning you, trips, events, new hobbies, sudden career moves, it's a red flag waving in plain sight. She might say she's busy, or that she needs space, and sure, we all do sometimes. But consistent exclusion tells a different story. You feel like you're always trying to catch up, like you're hearing about her life secondhand instead of living it beside her. And that's when you must pause. It could mean her emotional investment is divided, or that you're not her priority anymore. A Stoic man doesn't chase to be included. He doesn't beg for invitations to her world. He stands firmly in his own. If you're important to her, she'll want you there. If you're not, your absence won't bother her. And that tells you everything you need to know. Love yourself enough to be where you're celebrated, not tolerated. Part 3. She hesitates to introduce you to her friends. Meeting her friends isn't just a casual thing, it's a statement. It's her way of saying, "This man matters to me. I want my people to know him." So when she continually postpones those introductions, makes excuses, or keeps you compartmentalized away from her social life, it's not just coincidence, it's communication. Maybe she says it's not the right time, or that her friends are too busy, or that she's waiting for the right moment. Maybe every time you bring it up, she brushes it aside with a laugh, or changes the subject altogether. At first, you might give her the benefit of the doubt, but when weeks turn into months and you're still invisible to the people closest to her, you have to ask yourself, what is she hiding? It could be other relationships. It could be a reputation she's trying to protect. Or it could be that she doesn't see you as a long-term presence worth introducing at all. A Stoic man doesn't force himself into places where he isn't welcomed naturally. He knows that real connection doesn't require pushing or pleading. Transparency flows from genuine intention. If it's not flowing, you have your answer. Sometimes silence says more than words ever could. Part 4. She's extremely comfortable with physical intimacy. Confidence is attractive. A woman who knows her body and isn't shy about affection can be refreshing. But when that comfort with intimacy feels excessive, too quick, too casual, too familiar, it's worth paying closer attention. If, from the very beginning, she initiates physical closeness without hesitation, if she moves fast into deeper levels of intimacy without allowing emotional trust to build alongside it, it may reveal a pattern shaped by past experiences. You might notice she's unusually bold, adventurous, or experimental, suggesting that intimacy is not something sacred to her anymore, but something casual, transactional, or even strategic. Again, this is not about judging her. It's about understanding the story her actions are telling. Intimacy should be the result of emotional connection, trust, and mutual growth, not a shortcut, not a tool. A Stoic man values depth over speed. He understands that true bonding takes time, and that pleasure without trust often leads to regret. Pay attention not just to how she's close to you, but why she's rushing toward it. Sometimes, urgency hides wounds that words will never reveal. Many times, a woman who rushes into physical intimacy isn't doing it to manipulate. She's doing it because it's the only language she's learned to communicate affection. Maybe in her past, affection was confused with approval. Maybe connection was confused with conquest. A Stoic man sees beyond the surface. He doesn't just ask, "Is she into me?" He asks, "Is she ready to build something real?" Sometimes, behind rapid physical escalation, there is a soul starving for real emotional connection, but too afraid to slow down and build it properly. Recognizing that allows you to respond not with ego, but with discernment. Part 5. She avoids talking about sexual health. Conversations about sexual health aren't always easy. They can feel awkward, vulnerable, even uncomfortable. But in a mature relationship, they are absolutely necessary. If every time you try to discuss topics like contraception, boundaries, past partners, or STI testing, she becomes evasive, defensive, or flat out changes the subject, that's not just discomfort, it's avoidance. A woman with a transparent past, one who values honesty and partnership, welcomes clarity, even if it's hard. She understands that protecting each other's health is an act of respect. But a woman who dodges these conversations may be hiding past choices she's not proud of, or consequences she fears you might discover. You have every right, not just emotionally, but physically, to demand openness when it comes to your health and safety. A Stoic man doesn't push these conversations aggressively, but he doesn't let them be buried either. He brings them up with calm authority and stands firm. Trust is not just about feelings, it's about facts. And your future well-being depends on knowing the truth. And by the way, if you're finding this video insightful so far, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. We reveal truths most men never hear, because you deserve to move through life with clarity and power. Part 6. Her stories don't line up. Everyone forgets details sometimes. Memory isn't perfect. But when someone's stories about their past consistently seem vague, shifting, or strangely rehearsed, it's not forgetfulness. It's a sign. One day, she tells you she went on a solo vacation. Weeks later, she casually mentions a guy who was there with her. Or maybe she gives vague timelines about past relationships where dates and details don't seem to match up. Small inconsistencies might seem harmless at first, but when they pile up, they form a bigger picture. A picture of someone carefully editing the truth. A Stoic man doesn't pounce. He doesn't play detective or launch accusations. Instead, he listens, quietly, patiently, attentively. He watches the gaps between the words, the shifts in body language, the hesitations. He trusts what the patterns reveal, even if the words try to cover it. Remember this: truth doesn't need maintenance. Lies always do. If the narrative needs constant patchwork, something deeper is being hidden. And a man of strength never builds his future on a shaky foundation of half-truths. Part 7. She keeps you at an emotional distance. You can spend hours with someone, share meals, share a bed, and yet feel like you're still a stranger to them. Physical closeness doesn't automatically mean emotional closeness, and in some cases, it's used to mask the absence of something deeper. If she guards her true feelings, if every conversation stays on the surface, talking about daily events but never dreams, fears, hopes, or regrets, it's a sign she's keeping her walls up. You might notice she deflects when topics get serious. She laughs things off. She changes the subject. Or worse, she gets visibly uncomfortable when you try to genuinely connect. Emotional intimacy is about vulnerability, allowing someone to see behind the polished surface. And for some women, especially those who carry emotional baggage from complex pasts, that level of exposure feels dangerous. A Stoic man doesn't force connection. He recognizes that if someone consistently keeps their heart locked away, it's not his job to find the key. It's theirs to offer. And if they won't, no matter how strong the physical chemistry, the foundation is weak. You deserve more than proximity. You deserve presence. Emotional distance is rarely random. It usually signals unhealed wounds, broken trust from previous relationships, or unresolved self-worth issues. When someone fears being truly seen, they often use physical intimacy as a mask and small talk as a shield. But no matter how beautiful the outside looks, a relationship without emotional intimacy is hollow. It's a body without a soul. A Stoic man doesn't get addicted to surface pleasures. He hungers for substance. And if substance isn't offered, he has the strength to walk away. Not with anger, but with silent certainty. Part 8. She frequently mentions her exes. The past shapes all of us. That's natural. But when a woman constantly brings up her exes, especially through comparisons, it's a clear sign that she hasn't fully closed that chapter. You might hear casual remarks like, "My ex used to take me to places like this," or more direct comparisons like, "You should be more like him." These aren't just harmless comments, they're emotional echoes. When her mind lives in the past, it steals energy from your present. It subtly invites old expectations, old wounds, and old standards into your relationship, turning you into a replacement, not a partner. And that's a game you cannot win. Competing with ghosts always leaves you empty. A Stoic man knows this. He doesn't rage against the past or try to beat the memories of another man. He simply respects himself enough to realize if she's still holding on to him, she can't fully hold on to you. And that's not a reflection of your worth. It's a reflection of her unfinished healing. Part 9. She's obsessed with her appearance. Taking care of oneself is a sign of self-respect. Dressing well, grooming, staying fit, all these things reflect healthy pride. But when appearance becomes an obsession, when every moment feels staged for an audience, every selfie meticulously crafted for likes, every conversation circles back to how she looks, it's no longer self-care. It's validation hunger. You might notice that she needs constant compliments, that she gauges her self-worth by the approval of strangers online, that even in private moments she seems more focused on maintaining an image than connecting with you authentically. Often this obsession stems from past experiences where appearance was her main source of attention, affection, or control. Beauty, no matter how striking, is fleeting. Time humbles all of us. But character, kindness, loyalty, depth, those qualities endure. A Stoic man doesn't attach himself to the temporary shine of the surface. He looks for the substance that remains when the spotlight fades. Know where your loyalty lies. Choose soul over shell, every time. Part 10. She gets jealous easily. A little jealousy can be normal in any relationship. But when jealousy shows up too early, too fiercely, and without reason, it often reveals deeper issues lurking beneath the surface. Ironically, those who have something to hide are often the quickest to suspect others. It's a psychological projection, transferring their own guilt or fears onto you. If she frequently questions your loyalty, gets upset when you talk to female coworkers, or shows possessiveness over harmless situations, you need to pay attention. It's not always about your behavior. It might be about her unresolved guilt, insecurities, or patterns from past relationships where betrayal was involved, either by her or toward her. A Stoic man doesn't waste energy constantly reassuring someone who has built monsters in their mind. Trust is earned, not demanded. And if you're living clean but still being treated like you're guilty, that's a reflection of their chaos, not yours. Remember, accusations without cause usually tell you more about the accuser than the accused. Protect your peace. Part 11. She avoids future planning. When a woman truly envisions a future with you, she naturally starts to include you in it. Discussions about vacations, future homes, family gatherings, and long-term dreams come up easily. She speaks in we, not me. But if every time you bring up the future she shifts the conversation, gives vague answers, or shows visible discomfort, you must recognize the signal for what it is. She's either uncertain, unwilling, or uninterested in building something lasting with you. It might not be personal. She might be navigating her own fears or unfinished business from past relationships. But either way, a Stoic man doesn't cling to uncertainty. He doesn't chase half-hearted promises or ambiguous hopes. He aligns himself with clarity, with women who meet him with equal intention and vision. Remember, if you have to beg for a place in her future, you don't truly have one. When you recognize these signs, your first instinct may be to feel anger, fear, or sadness. That's natural. But a Stoic man doesn't react emotionally. He responds intentionally. He doesn't attack. He doesn't beg. He doesn't stay and hope it gets better. He calmly gathers evidence, asks the right questions, and then makes a decision based on what reality, not fantasy, is showing him. Some women will be honest when confronted. Others will deny, deflect, or gaslight. Either way, your job isn't to fix her. Your job is to stay loyal to your own peace. In life and love, clarity is a weapon. Use it wisely. Walk when needed. Stay when deserved. But always, always choose yourself first, not from pride, but from power. See clearly, choose powerfully. Today, you didn't just learn how to spot subtle signs. You learned how to stay awake in a world where most men stay asleep. You learned that real strength isn't about forcing anything. It's about seeing the truth, even when it's uncomfortable, and choosing yourself with quiet power. Not to judge, not to control, but to understand. To see things as they are, not as you wish them to be. And to walk forward with clear eyes and an unshakable spirit. If you've ever recognized one of these signs before, share your experience in the comments below. Your story might help another man find his clarity. Thank you for watching and supporting this journey of strength and self-mastery. If you found value here, don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell. It helps us grow and bring you more Stoic wisdom to sharpen your mind and protect your peace. Stay sharp, stay sovereign. Stoic spirit.